Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Thank you for tuning into the GSMC Relationship Podcast, brought you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Gloriann. Welcome to another relationship podcast. In today's episode, I'll be talking about the struggles and excitements of going on a date, being in a relationship, and even going through the talking stage. It's more about the stages of dating. Let's just start by saying that going on a date, it can be nerve-wracking, and even talking to this person is just nerves all over the place. We don't know what to say, what to talk about, what to do, and it's a nerve-wracking moment. Let's say that the talking stage is starting to get to know someone. You guys have a mutual attraction, but you need to see if you guys are a good fit, if you really have things in common, or you just have a physical attraction that happens with people. That's why you need to know each other, and if everything goes perfectly, it can turn into you guys seeing more of each other, dating, and even being exclusive, being in a relationship, or it can just turn into not ever seeing this person again or just staying friends. We need to get to know a person first. It's like when you buy a car. You need to test it to see if it's to your liking. When you're at the dealership, then you have something in mind, or you're just there wondering. Anyway, the point is that you find somebody that you find attractive because either it's the person of your dreams, the man or the woman of your dreams, or it's just a person that you got attracted to them because of their personality. It happens. Of course, the talking stage is a struggle because you need to be careful what you say to this person, what you do around this person. You don't want to scare them away. And of course, sometimes at the beginning it's going to be awkward, really awkward, or you guys are really not going to hit it off. It happens. I know that sometimes we can get scared and we can put our hopes high and say like, oh my God, this is the person of my dreams. And then once you get to know them, there's things that you really don't like, or there's a vibe that it's something like, okay, this is not well, or I'm not feeling this at all. And let's say like, again, it's the man of your dreams, but then he doesn't like dogs, or he or she doesn't like, going on road trips, or like doesn't like the way that you're dressing, or, some type of thing that you're there like, okay, this is a deal breaker for me. Things like that can be a deal breaker for people. For me, if my partner doesn't like dogs, then he has a problem because I want 2 dogs, so they have to deal with that. The talking stage is more of meeting them and not having the commitment of just one person. In the talking stage, you can be talking to other people as well. Maybe with this person it's not gonna work, so you have to be with another. And this stage, you don't have to be pressured that much. It's still a struggle because if it doesn't work, then it doesn't. It's more about not committing to someone and still getting that attention and affection of a real relationship, but without the label or the exclusivity. The talking stage can take up to 2 weeks, or it can take months. Honestly, it's more about the person and about you, because we all have our problems and we all have our baggage, and it's always good to take things slow, because maybe you have maybe you have things in common and you get along extremely well, but then it's when you try to date, you really don't click. It's you guys don't feel that affection, maybe because of whatever reason. Anyways, the point is that you need to be honest with this person if you want a serious relationship or you just want to be friends with benefits. You need to tell the other person, what is it that you're looking for. I understand that sometimes it can be a really scary because you don't want to run them off. I can say that in my experience and in my guy's best friend's experience, we know what we want and we go for it. And I know that my best friend, he goes and tells the girls, oh, I want a serious relationship. I don't want to be messing around. I don't want to be really, I don't really want to waste my time. And girls, it's so weird because if somebody, me being a girl, if they talk to me that way, knowing what they want, it's like, okay, perfect. He's being honest. He's talking what he's telling me what he wants, not to waste my time or him or me wasting his time. Anyways, the point is that he tells me that the girls just don't talk to him anymore. They literally ghost him. And I'm here like, oh, wow, that's not really the best thing. And that's weird. When you get older, like the older you get, you start to know what you want. And right now that's in the stage that I'm in, just like a couple of my friends. We know what we want, so we go to it. Anyways, back to it. If you have been talking to a person and they don't really show interest on you, they don't invite you to things like hang out with their friends or going to dinner, they're not really interested. Maybe they're just talking to you because they want somebody to talk to, or maybe you're the second plate. I'm not gonna really sugarcoat it. That's why once you start talking to somebody, if you met them in wherever, in a public place or in the internet, you always have to be honest with them. And of course, you being honest with them, it can change as well. You can change the way that you think. Maybe you want a serious relationship right now, but once you start talking to this person, you start to see that, oh, I'm not really ready for a serious relationship, or you know what, I am, but this is not the person for me. You have to be honest with. And if they really don't do anything, they just invite you to, they call you at midnight and you're like, yeah, nope, or you're just literally just talking and texting. Yeah, I know that you have to give it time, but at the same time, there's like a window open on what to do when this person is not really showing you any interest. They're just talking to you. Maybe they just want a friendship, but they have never said it. Or maybe they're just confused and they don't know what they want. And sometimes they do know what they want. They just have so much issues, like trust issues, that they decide not to open up to you, or they try to take things slow. It does take people time to trust others and be in a relationship. Remember that we all have our baggage, and maybe this person was hurt in their past relationship or in their whole lives. You need to be patient, but at the same time, not being there wasting your time. I don't know if I'm really making sense. I know that I've been giving you like a lot of information, but what I mean is that if you're talking to a person and you see that you invite them to something and they say no, or they don't really invite you, you guys are just staying in the talking stage, you need to move on, because this person either doesn't really know what they want, or they just really need to get things slow because either they haven't overcome their past relationship. You just need to be patient, but at the same time, not be there wasting your time. Of course, you always need to be honest with people and talk things through, even though you're not in a love relationship with this person. You still need to communicate what you want. Me personally, when I'm attracted to someone, I try to flirt a little bit, but I'll be honest, I don't know how to flirt, so I'm just nice. And sometimes being nice, it can get misinterpreted because people think that I'm hitting on everybody when I'm really not. So the fact of not flirting does not help me at all, because they, I just I treat them like if somebody was my friend. Like, they wouldn't really know if I'm interested in them if I don't tell them like, hey, I like you, or like, hey, do you want to go out? Do things like that. Anyway, to the point, the talking stage can really be something that you need to be careful, because if you wait a long time, they can put you in the friend zone. I've done it, trust me. It's confusing, I know. Meeting someone is exciting and it can be nerve-wracking and even a struggle. We can meet people either through our friends or social group or a workplace, and really many places. Right now, since we're in a global pandemic, a lot of people are doing the online dating. And of course, in the dating apps, you need to fill this questionnaire and you can put what you're looking for. Some people, they're looking for serious relationships, and there are other people that are just looking for one night stands or a friend with benefits. I think that we all know that, especially like when dating apps started to be used for the first time. It was like, oh no, it's a one, this person just wants a one night stand. So anyways, let's imagine this. You're in a public place and you see this person for the first time, and you get attracted to them because either their appearance, their body type, their personality, interest, different things. Of course, when you start talking to someone, we try to be in our best behavior and dismiss every red flag. Of course, getting to know this person even more changes your perspective. Either you want to know more about them, or you're just not interested and you just say bye. In my experience, if I don't feel a vibe with the person and they're really boring texting and not getting my jokes, I put them in the friend zone. I know that a lot of people have done the exact same thing when they're not really feeling it, but it's a nice person. It's okay, so let me just either friend zone him or her, or just ghost them. Again, as I said, I put them in the friend zone, or I just don't talk to them anymore. I remember talking to this guy. He was nice, at least when I met him, but once we started texting, he was just weird. When I'm telling you weird, it was just weird. He was just being too truthful and just having this quick trust with me and giving me too much information that for me, it's no, that's just weird for me personally. And then he visited me at work. Guys, we didn't even go on a date, and this person just appeared in my work. Again, for me, that's weird. When, we weren't even talking. It was just, hey, nice to meet you type of text. Another story is that I was talking to this guy and we never really talked about having anything serious. We talked all the time though, talking about a TV show that we watch or something else. and or something that we ate, or in class something funny happened and we were telling each other. Anyway, the point is that I started to notice that when we hang out, he just acted like we didn't talk all the time. It was just like I told him something, or he was just separate and talking to other people and not really being there. And I'm like, okay, no problem. Like, we know we haven't talked about our situation, and I don't know if I like you, blah, blah. So, of course, I started to ignore his text and eventually, just treated him like a friend. And then he started to notice that I was just being more and more distant towards him. And there's where he started to, like, every time we hang out, because we hang out with the same group of people, every time we hang out, he started like talking to me or buying me, always saying like, or always like picking me up or, taking me home, like him trying to show me that he does care about me. To be honest, when he invited me to things, I just said yes to, to just get out of my house. Of course, his company was nice, but at the same time, when I started to get distant, I was just over the whole situation, to be honest. And because at the beginning, of course, you show this interest in me, but then when we're in public, you don't show that. I need to put my foot down. And it's not, but if he talked, I need to put my foot down. I can say that with one of my exes, we were first friends and I really did like him a lot. I guess he didn't have any clue about it. And he texted me all the time, and we saw each other, a couple of times, like going to the beach alone, or, him picking me up to go like to a local bar, or to, to one of his friends' birthdays. But he never thought that I was interested in him, and he just thought that I was just being nice. And when one of my friends then told him that I was interested in him, he invited me to a party. And I was like, okay, nothing's happening here, so I'm going to start putting him in the friend zone. That night, he made a move, and of course, we started dating. And with that, up next, I'm going to be talking about starting to date and being in a relationship with someone.
The GSMC Sex Podcast is a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet. Download the GSMC Sex Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you can find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. As you know, I've been talking about the talking stage and how the talking stage is more about not being exclusive, meeting other people, getting to know this person if you're really interested in them or you really want to meet them even more. Now that you're in the talking stage with this person, you see that he's really funny or she's really funny and you are like interested in them and you want to see them. Obviously, that's when you start to go out with them. And of course, the first date is always the first impression. And let's say that you're going on your first date with that person that you've been talking for, let's say 2 weeks, maybe less, maybe more. It all depends. The nerves, of course, are there. There's no denying that. They're there. You want this first date to be perfect. As they say, first impressions last. And of course, you've been talking to this person, you know that you have a couple of things in common, you feel a good vibe going on, and you need to think on what you're going to wear, of course, because it's the first date, and where you're going with, and where's the night going to lead. Either going to a second date or just another bust of a date. Different types of things can happen on the first date. You want to impress this person either because you are really interested in them, or you just want to get over it because you've been texting for a couple of times and you really just want to see where is this going. In a first date, I really wouldn't recommend going to a really expensive restaurant. I know that you want to impress this person, but just imagine this. What if you guys don't have chemistry and then you're paying this amount of money in an expensive dinner or, movie and a dinner, and everything's just awkward? It's not the exact same thing as being texting on the phone, or maybe, texting on the dating app, wherever guys were communicating. Then that's going to be a bummer, especially all the money spent. It's always a good idea to either to grab coffee or to go to a bar and get to know each other. Again, I know that because of COVID, we can really do that. We need to be safe and we need to keep others safe as well. But you can always go to the park and social distance or have a date video chatting, just getting to know each other. I understand completely that being in the screen of your computer or on your phone, it's not the same as meeting them face to face, because you can see their expressions and you can see how their body language is. I understand that completely. But again, staying safe. But the point is that meeting that person for their first time can be something special and nerve-wracking, or it can just be awkward or exciting, and you never know. Now that, you have this first date, you know what you're going to wear, and then you start to think, okay, I'm seeing this person face to face. What are we going to talk about? Or why I agree to go out with them. You start to doubt yourself and overthink everything. You can always take a breather. And of course, you can, if you're really questioning yourself on what you guys are going to talk about, you can always make like a little card with questions, or in the notes of your phone, just put some questions in there and just, ask him things to let the conversation flow. Sometimes we have a connection with people and it goes really smoothly, and maybe this person is just this type of go with the flow type of person, or they can just not talk at all. Other people, you just need to force them to talk. And I know that on a first date, it can be tricky, but sometimes our nerves betray us. Maybe they were feeling nervous and they just don't know what to do. Of course, those questions can help. Sometimes it's been a long time since somebody has been out on a date, so it may be difficult for them. Maybe they need an icebreaker. And that's okay. That's all good. Let's say everything's going smoothly on your date, and then, it's time to go. The date ends, and again, it can go both ways. Either you get a kiss, you get your first kiss, or maybe your first kiss happened when you guys met each other for the first time, and, everything's perfect, and then they invite you to a second date, and you, of course, either say yes if they invite you to a second date, or they can just ghost you, or you ghost them. Either way, because you weren't really having a good time in the date. it can happen. It has happened to me. I'm pretty sure it has happened to everybody. You start to meet this person and start talking to them, and it's really interesting and really fun and edgy at the beginning. And then when you go on a date or you go on a couple of dates, it's not, you guys are not really clicking anymore. It happens. Anyway, let's say that your date went smoothly. You guys have a really good time. You go home, you go tell your friends, you gossip, you text them like, hey, when are we going to meet again? Or they're going to text you, so when is it that we're going to do our second date? And of course, on the second date, you're less nervous because you now have a little bit of trust and more confidence in the date. And of course, now that you guys are getting out of your box, it can be a little bit challenging as well, because maybe in the first date you were acting obviously not yourself. So now on the second date and the third date, it's more about, okay, they're getting out more and more of their shell. So there's when you know if you're gonna hit it off or not. But in this case, we're gonna say that you guys, you are all good, everything went along great, and you start to get to know each other. And of course, knowing each other, you start going on dates and you go into more exclusivity, and you stop talking to everybody, you stop talking to other people, and you start to focus on your partner. And of course, you start being exclusive, and this is what they call then the honeymoon phase. Once you start dating a person and you are more into you guys, you are focusing on you guys as well. Just you two, and you see your similarities and you ignore their flaws. This happens a lot when you're meeting someone new. Our brain just ignores those red flags because either you're really attracted to this person and you're just falling in love with them, that you really ignore them. And of course, that's why a lot of relationships, when they fade out, once you get out of that relationship, you'll see like, oh, this is a red flag. Oh my God, he did this at the beginning and I didn't see it or recognize it. And it's something that happens when meet somebody and our brain just focuses on the good thing and not on the bad things, because again, either you're in love or you just want to be with somebody and make things work. And of course, if you're in a relationship with this person, you don't really fight in this phase. You don't really fight with your partner because you're so into each other that you don't want anything to ruin it. You even want to spend more time with this person because you can't really imagine being apart from each other. This is where obviously our friends just disappear, or we disappear when we're in the honeymoon phase, because you want to be 24/7 with your partner. It happens in all the relationships at one point. It's more, you obviously need to know how to balance your time though between your friends, your family, and your partner. But again, the honeymoon phase, we all go through it, so it's normal. In this phase, you start to, obviously getting to know this person and having more time with them. You start to care about this person and they care about you as well. So you start to think that this person is the person that you're going to marry and the person that you're going to spend your life with. It's really normal when you're in this honeymoon phase that you think like that, because obviously you're not seeing their flaws, you're not seeing the red flags. Maybe you're just used to how they're treating you because other people have treated you as well. And I can say that I have a friend that even though she's been 4 years with her partner, they're still on the honeymoon phase. They want to spend time together all the time. And even though ever since they started dating, they have always fighted because he wants to do things and she wants to do things her way. So they start to like get into each other's nerves. But then at the end of the night, at the end of the day, my friend gets her way. They always want to be together. And if I'm in Puerto Rico, or when I was living in Puerto Rico and I invited her to something, she invited him, and vice versa. Like if he went out with his friends, he invited her. And if the funny thing is, when they go out alone, either way they meet each other in a spot. Like they're always together. That's the point. I have another friend that they've been together 2 years and they don't feel the same, because I think they're just comfortable. Maybe they're not, but it's funny because she goes out, doesn't tell him. He goes out, doesn't tell her. And then if they see each other in the hangouts, it's like, oh, you went out. Oh, that's cool. You know, they have like a really big trust in each other, which that's good. But at the same time, it's like, dude, why didn't you tell your partner that you went out? Anyway, you know, that happens when you're in a relationship and you get comfortable in that relationship and you don't really want to break up, because that's the thing, you know. And of course, dating, it could be a struggle. That's why we're talking about this. And I have another friend that she was talking to this guy. They were talking for like a month and he invited her to stay at his house. And of course, she was debating into go or not going. And I told her not to go because they've been talking a really short period for me. And anyway, so she didn't listen to me. She went. And this guy ignored her afterwards. Like, you know, weekend over, see ya, don't want to be ya. And literally just ghosted her. Of course, she was not feeling it. And this guy ghosted her for a couple of weeks, and then when he started to call her back or text her, she was like, yep, nope, not having it. Like, she was really hurt by this. This is why it's really important to talk this. Even though you're in the talking stage, you really need to talk to this person and say, hey, what is it that you want? Because I don't want to spend my time. I don't want to waste my time. If you want to just be friends with benefits, that's okay. I'm good with that. Or I'm not good with that. If you want a relationship, okay, let's try it. You know, you always have to be honest, especially if you're in your late 20s. Yeah, it's you know, just don't waste your time. And my experience in the dating world is that I always stay in the talking phase, at least for a couple of months. I like to take things slow. I guess because of the virus now, every time I talk to a person and it's time to meet, because, you know, not time to meet, but they invite me to meet, I just don't want to. And I just ignore them or start ghosting them. I know it's complicated. Of course, this friend of mine tried to hook me up with one of his friends, and we met. He seemed nice, but he gave me a really weird vibe. My friend asked me if he can give him my number. And I was like, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, whatever. To be honest, I said yes because I was bored at the time. And I don't know. Anyways, it was just dumb, I know. Anyways, this guy started to text me. And when I'm telling you that vibe was right, it was right. I can't really describe it, but I think that I'll try to describe it. It's like a sense of like he's just desperate to meet someone, and he's just weird, and it's just weird. I can't really explain it. And like one of my friends told me that I was just looking for excuses and that I needed to give this guy a chance. But I really can't. Every time that he texts me, I cringe, I can say, and it's just, I don't know, it's just weird. It's honestly something that I don't know how to explain it. The only thing that I can say is that if this person gives you a really weird vibe, Just avoid them. Anyway, back to the original topic. Dating is a struggle, and we all know that. Being exclusive with a person, yes, it is a beautiful thing, but it's not always the color pink. The more you get to know this person, at some point, you will start to get annoyed with the things that they do, and you start to have discussions, and there's where it all goes downhill. Obviously, having an argument with a person doesn't mean that the relationship's gonna end. You guys need to sit down and talk things through, because reality is starting to set in, and this is a stage that is where I can say you start to fall out of love, or in this stage, you just need to make a choice in which either you're gonna make it work with the person or you're just gonna break up, because you need to see if you can deal with their flaws and their behavior. And with this, up next, I'll be talking about relationships and their struggles.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. I've been talking about the different stages of being with a person, and now I'm going to go into more details about being in a relationship with a person or with this person. Of course, you pass the talking stage, the dating stage, and now you're exclusive and you guys want to spend time together all the time and everything is just perfect. Bam! They do something that you just don't like flirting with another person in front of you, or they start to do stuff that you find annoying, like leaving their socks on the floor, or every time they come to your house, they turn all of the lights on and don't turn them off. Anyway, the point is that reality is starting to set in. You pass that honeymoon phase, now being a little bit scientific. This happens because your body at the beginning, there was a lot of endorphins. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Running through your body, and that gives you like a high sensation. And of course, everything that it comes up must come down. That's why you start to see things that you didn't find annoying in the beginning of the relationship or when you guys were talking or dating. This can mean a lot of things. It can mean that you're no longer attracted to this person, you're just over them, or you aren't really like over this person, but you're starting to see that this little type of things, they're annoying you, so it's something that you need to talk to them about so you guys can compromise about it. Of course, it's something that either you or them have to change, and change can sometimes be good. If it makes the person better and they want to do it, that's perfect. But do not obligate someone to change. In a relationship, me personally, I think that you should be 50-50, just like having to compromise, and most important, having communication. You start to realize that your relationship needs work. This is where you need to decide either you're staying with them and making things work, or you decide to break up with them. Being in a relationship is a piece of work. We all know this. You need to compromise with your partner, and of course that means having arguments and being angry at each other for some time. You want to be in a healthy relationship, not in a toxic one. That's why you need to talk the situation and think things through and think to yourself, am I happy? If this is what I want for the rest of my life, or is this what I want right now in my life? I have been in a toxic relationship. I have been in a healthy ones as well. And what I can say is that toxic relationships tend to be a ball of stress, because you doubt yourself every time, and instead of talking about the problem, you cave and they do what they want, or you just say like, oh no, I'm just gonna, slip this under the rug. Nothing's gonna happen. This is gonna fix themselves. It's gonna fix itself. There's people that will make you feel that you're the one to blame when really you're just expressing your feelings. So of course, when that happens, when you're trying to express your feeling and your partner's telling you like, oh, you're crazy, or no, like that's your fault that you're feeling like that, that's when you really have to think, do I really want to be with this person if they're not taking my feelings serious? You need a strong communication with your partner. And to make this work, you need to work as a team. Again, 50-50. Let's say you want to go on a vacation and your partner wants to stay home because they don't have either enough money to go on the vacation, or they really just don't want to be in a vacation because of all the stress that it can bring. And you need to understand that in that case, either you help them out and you respect their decision, or you try to look for something else to do together, or you both compromise and say, okay, okay, so perfect. So we'll stay at home or we'll do something else. But hey, in 1 month or in 2 months, I would like to take a vacation. So let's start planning so it's not that stressful, and start saving money so it's not stressful as well. Of course, you need to understand that you obviously want a stable relationship. You guys have history and you have worked on some things, and they have helped you a lot and you have helped them. You're going to have differences with your partner. It happens in your partners, with your friends, with family members. And I know that sometimes it can be something really lame, like leaving the light on, or something serious like not having pets in the house or not wanting kids. You feel that you can fix these things, you can fix these conflicts because, again, you've been there for a while now. You trust them and you guys have a great relationship. Of course, every relationship has its problems. You guys need to be adults and talk things through and look for a solution. Maybe that solution is taking a break or breaking up. Maybe not. Sometimes it's just you need time for ourselves. Being with someone is accepting their flaws and knowing that everybody is not perfect and that there's going to be people that are not right for you. Even though you think it's the guy of your dreams, let's say like this, they're really good looking. You wanted a guy with beard, with green eyes, tall, but then you see that they're either really selfish and they never spend time with you. Obviously with that, and you start to feel bad and you start thinking like, why am I in this relationship? Obviously when it's like that, you need to start thinking, okay, I need to break up with this person. Maybe there's gonna be another tall, green-eyed, bearded guy that will treat you better. Who knows? Maybe it's another person. Sometimes the things that we imagine for ourselves, it doesn't work out. So being with someone is accepting their flaws and knowing that not everybody is perfect, and that there's going to be people that are not the right for you. Others, you start to commit more and more and start living together and get married, and you live happily ever after, like a fairy tale. In my life, both of my best friends have been in a long-term relationship. One of those friends took a break from their partner because his partner moved to the States and he stayed in Puerto Rico, and they weren't really communicating. The long distance relationship ruined their relationship. And it was weird because they were always together and doing stuff, and everybody thought that they were going to get married, to be honest. But once she moved for a better future for her, the relationship wasn't the same. And I guess it was because of the fact of they always being together and then now being apart. They couldn't handle being there for each other. Anyway, they took a little break, and of course in that break they met new people. They started dating. She was in a relationship with somebody, and then it didn't work out, and he wasn't really in a relationship with nobody, and he was just dating and meeting people. Now they saw each other again, and I guess they talked about everything, and now they're back together. Of course, dating other people wasn't the same, and they have a better communication, and he's moving in with her. For now, the relationship is stable, I can say, because they have always been a really good couple. It was just that time that I guess they both didn't know how to have a long distance relationship, even though they had communication when they were together all the time. Being apart affected the relationship, which that happens in a lot of the relationship with other people. Anyway, my other best friend, she's been 4 years with this person, and they have learned to manage to take time for each other. This is the friend that I was talking about earlier, that I think that she's still in the honeymoon phase. In the honeymoon stage. They do a lot of things together. She hangs out with his group of friends, and in the pandemic they have been spending even more time together. But at the same time, she tells me, I need to take a break from this guy. I'm staying at home tonight, or I know I don't want to see him, let him hang out with his friends, or the other way around, he gets tired as well. It's normal. It's funny because they stand each other, but at the same time, they don't. And I guess it's because, again, they've been in a long-term relationship. So it can bring, you start to get your own little, you start to be in your own little bubble. Even though they spend a lot of time together and have been in a relationship for a long period of time, they're not ready to move in together. My best friend says that she is ready, but it's him the problem. He is 2 years younger than her. Of course, this here is a thing. You need to compromise with your partner. If they don't want to move in just yet, you guys need to sit down and talk things through. Maybe you're ready to move out from your parents' house, but because you have a stable job, you're making all this money, but your partner is not really in the same pace as you. And they feel that the money that they're making is not going to pay everything, and you need to understand them. I have this friend that same has been with his girlfriend for years, and now she has this timeline that in 5 years she needs to be married and living with him. Of course, those 5 years are coming up soon. He told me that he doesn't want to get married yet because he wants to move in with her and see how they are living together, which is a really smart thing to do. That's what I would have done if I was in a relationship. Anyway, she graduated and has a really good job, and she wants to move in with him, but he doesn't make the exact same amount of money as her. And when he told me that she told him that he needed to make a decision or to make a change, basically to make a change, because she wasn't going to pay more than him when they move in together, which I can understand completely her point of view, because having to pay rent, the bills, and it all leans on you, it can be troubling. And living here in Florida is really expensive as well, especially the rent. You need to have another person to help you out with the rent. But my other point of view is, if you're in a relationship, you need to help your partner out. Having to pay more than the other person shouldn't be a problem, because who knows if he loses his job or if she loses her job, And of course, your partner just has to help you out. Your partner can't really leave you hanging around. So that's why in that point of view, I'm like, okay, I understand your point, but you have to see it as this as well. Anyways, going back to it, we have to remember that not everybody is in the same page as you. He graduated as well, but he hasn't found a job in what he's studying. But since she has this 5-year period, he started to look for a new job. And of course, that was the compromise that they made at the time. But at the same time, I think he's making this to make her happy. Not what he wants, but that's something that I don't really need to get into. That's their relationship. Who knows, maybe he is really doing it because that's what he wants to do, but the circumstances are just whatever. Anyways, back to it. As I talk today, being in a relationship is compromising, strong communication, and being truthful with that person. Of course, I know that it can be scary because you want to tell this person like, hey, I'm not ready to move in, or hey, I'm not ready for this. And you don't want to make them sad. But again, your partner needs to understand that you guys, as I said before, you guys can be in the same book, but you're not in the same chapter or in the same page. It's more about being there for each other and just thinking about your future. If this is what makes you happy now, do you want to keep this person there with you? Then you have to compromise. It's not making them happy and making a compromise. It's not really the same. Making a compromise is looking for a happy medium in which both of you are happy. The last thing that I want to say is you as a person need to acknowledge if you're happy or not, either with your life or with your partner, with your work. If you're not, then obviously you make a change. But if you are happy, why would you make a change? Up next, I'll be talking on how being a people pleaser can bring you problems.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Alrighty, welcome back. And now we're going to change the topic and talk about how being a people pleaser can affect your relationships and your life. If you're a people pleaser, you are a giver and you don't know really when to put your foot down. Of course, people try to take advantage of you and ask you for help, knowing that you're not going to say no and you're going to say yes or agree with them. There is nothing bad in being nice and trying to help people out and making them happy. But as I read in an article, people pleasing generally goes beyond simple kindness. It involves editing or altering words and behaviors for the sake of another person's feelings or reaction. Again, I read this in an article, and it was a therapist who explained this. Her name is Erica Myers, and you give up your time to make other people happy and even try to make them proud of you as well. And this can be troubling you start to lose yourself and our relationships because you are trying to give them the power of taking advantage of you and not really making you happy. You are trying to be this person that you really are not, and it's just to please others. How do you know if you're a people pleaser and just being nice? Well, if you start to think that if you don't do this favor for this person that asked you the favor, ask you a question, you think that they're going to hate you, or they're going to be mad at you just because you couldn't do the favor, or you said no. You're always trying to look for people's reassurance, and it's hard for you to say no. I tend to do this a lot. I worry that if I say no to someone, then they will think something else of me. Another thing that I do that is a sign as well is apologizing or taking the blame for something that I didn't do. And if I'm at work and I bump into someone, or someone bumps into me, I say like, oh, I'm sorry, or they're telling me not to cover someone's shift at work because I made my hours and they're not doing overtime or whatever. I go and say I'm sorry, and even my manager tells me, you don't need to be sorry, it's not your fault. Even things that are not my fault, I say sorry. Anyway, another sign is that you agree with everybody because you don't want confrontation or people to be hating you. You struggle a lot with recognizing how you feel, and if you express yourself, you feel that you're being a burden to people. Of course, if you're a people pleaser, people start to take advantage of you and they have no boundaries whatsoever and ask you for everything because they know that you're not gonna say no. You're always gonna say yes to make them happy, and people start to notice this type of things. That's why you always have to put your foot down. This can be a problem for yourself because the fact is that it can bring you mental and emotional abuse. Another problem that can cause you is that the people around you get frustrated with you, either your parents, your partner, your friends, because they start to realize that you're always trying to please them and you don't give your opinion in anything, or they start to notice that you're just sorry for everything, even though you're not the blame for. When we can be people pleasers turn into people pleasers because either of past traumas or self-esteem, and especially the past trauma. Erica Meyer says that if you experience trauma as a child or a partner abuse, you may not have felt safe, and you learn that it's easier to do what people want instead of what you want to do. Another reason, she says, that because of self-esteem issues, we tend to be people pleasers because you learn that what you do came with a value. Like, let's say that you clean your room, but it wasn't the way your mom or your dad likes it, and they get mad at you. Then you make it the way that they want, and they're not mad at you anymore. That's what it means. Of course, the fear of rejection. If you don't do things your parents' way, they start to criticize you or to punish you as well. This happens in a lot of relationships. I say the story about cleaning your room because I remember when I was little, my mom, every time that she told me to clean my room because it was really a mess, I always cleaned it and it wasn't the way that she wanted it, or I hid things under my bed or in the closet, and she like always knew. It's like, Gloriann, I'm gonna open the closet, and I'm like, no, please don't. So she got mad at me because I wasn't cleaning my room the way that she wanted it. And another thing is cleaning the bathroom as well. My mom, she's really, when it comes to cleaning, she's a germ. I mean, she does things really perfectly. And of course, cleaning the bathroom, let's say that, I cleaned the bathtub, and then if I missed a spot or something, she got mad. It's like, Gloriann, you're not doing this right. I've showed you many times. Anyways, now that I'm older, I understand why she was doing it, because cleaning my bathroom, it's like sometimes seeing it and I'm like, oh, okay, now I get why mom got pissed off at me. Yeah, let me just clean this as well, because it really didn't look well, or it looks like a mess. And anyways, I can say that I'm a people pleaser as well. I know that I'm a people pleaser. At work, I can say that every time that they need to do something, they always call me. When I was in college, I told them my availability, and when somebody called out because for whatever reason, they called me in the middle of class or texted me like, hey, can you come in like at 2 p.m. and I was like, my class finishes at 3, like, no, I can't. Or sometimes I would say like, oh yeah, no problem, like I'll leave early from my class and I'll be there. And of course, I didn't set boundaries, and now that I graduated, that they know that I have more free time, basically they call me every time that they need me, and it's like, no, Gloriann's gonna do it. It's funny because when they have to cover somebody's shift, they're like, no, Gloriann can do it, don't worry, and maybe it's my day off, and they call me like, hey, we just put you on the schedule, we need you up for, and it's like, guys, I just made plans, or hey, I need to do something. And they really don't understand the boundaries. And sometimes I say yes because, well, I need the extra money, I'm trying to save up to move out. And sometimes I say yes, and of course I regret it, because then at least when I was in college, instead of doing my homework, I stayed up all night doing it because I was working. And it was a real struggle, to be honest, because of course you don't want to lose your job, and then at the same time in your job they just don't have the boundaries to say like, hey, she needs her time off. And the only person that they do this at work is me, so that's why I'm complaining about it. Anyways, the point is that of course you need to put your foot down. And right now I told them that I couldn't work a certain time, and they still put me on the schedule, and I'm like, guys, I told you that I can't work that shift, like I told you many times. Anyways, another anecdote is that when I was with my ex-boyfriend, we had a lot of things in common, don't get me wrong, and but I started to notice that every time that I wanted to do something, he said no. And every time that he wanted to do something, I was like, yeah, no problem, like no worries, I'll go. Even though like I didn't want to go, I said yes to him. And I think the fact of not putting my foot down and always being a people pleaser and not really having any discussions with him or arguments, because I didn't want really to be honest, I was going through a lot of things at that time. And with him, I didn't want to have like another fight with another person. And anyway, the thing is that he started, if something went wrong or something happened between us, we didn't have a discussion or anything. He just blamed me for it. And of course, I was like always the one who said sorry first. And I can say that being a people pleaser did bring me problems in my relationship, especially with my ex-boyfriend. And even though we're broken up, I can say that we still talk, and I still I do the exact same thing. He tells me something to do a favor or whatever, and I say yes. Even though I don't want to, I still say yes. It's a problem. And then another thing that I can say, and this is in my family, is that my grandparents, they obviously want the best for me. They want me to be successful. They want me to be independent, have my own job. I mean, independent, do my own thing. But of course, like right now, I'm trying to move out of my dad's house, and I want to move out, and I want to move like out of Florida, because it's not that I don't like Florida, but I just don't like it. I don't know how to explain it really. It's more about Florida was just like a pit stop, you know? And of course, I've made wonderful friends and I know people. And don't get me wrong, even though I have my problems with my job because they don't know what boundaries are, I still like working there. And of course, going to the point again, my grandparents, they just want me to be happy. But the thing is, and this is something that in my family, it tends to happen a lot. The thing is, if you don't do it the way that they want you to do it, you get criticized. Like, let's say again, like I want to move out, right? Perfectly. Okay, that's fine. I said that I wanted to move to Georgia or to New York, and that's where the whole criticizing started. It's like, why are you going to New York? So expensive. You really wouldn't survive over there, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here like, okay, so perfect. This is gonna be, they want me to be happy, but at the same time, it has to be in their terms. The same thing with Georgia. It was like, why do you want to go to Georgia? And if it's the north part of Georgia, like, why as well? Or stay. It's this, they don't really know. They live in Puerto Rico. And of course, I have family in Georgia. I have family in New York, and because they are always criticizing it, they think that it's not the best thing for me, and they want me to move out, but at the same time they don't want me to move out, especially my dad. My dad is like always telling me like, oh, so you're saving up to move out, right? And I'm like, yeah, I am. And then when I'm telling him like, oh, hey, I found this apartment, this and that, blah, blah, like the down payment, he's like, are you sure? I don't know. Like, he starts seeing like the negative side of the things, like, oh, it's not in a good neighborhood, or, oh, Gloriann, like, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, it doesn't, he starts to sabotage it, I can say. But I know that it's just because he wants me close by so I can help him, and I know that he's gonna miss me. Anyway, in my late 20s, I can say that I've been trying to learn how to put myself first and try not to please everybody. At work, there's one of the managers that she is trying to help me with that, as well. She tries to help me with that, and she's like, Gloriann, are you sure you want to do this? This is what makes you happy. You're not just saying yes to please somebody, correct? And like, she's always there trying to help me with this. And of course, putting yourself first doesn't mean that you're being selfish. You're trying to set boundaries, and that is healthy. That is a healthy thing to do, setting up boundaries. Of course, if you're a people pleaser, you can always go and talk to a therapist. Breaking that cycle can be hard, but they can help you. I know that I need to go to one, but I haven't found the right one for me. In conclusion, you're not a $100 bill to make everybody happy. If you're being a people pleaser, that's nice. That's nothing bad. But of course, you need to separate what is being nice and being taken advantage of. But remember, you just have to remember that you need to set your boundaries and put in yourself first. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and stay safe. Thank you for listening to the GSMC Relationship Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I would like to ask you to please remember to subscribe to the show and write a nice comment and write a nice review. That really helps us. Also, if you can please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.